Hi Shin. All right, so here's your spread. And so we're going to look at where we are, what you did with the majority of your life, an important day, another important day, the death, and the lesson learned. And we'll get hits of time throughout, okay? So all I'm going to do is tell you the images and impressions that come up, and it's your job to make connections where you can from this life to your current life, okay? So let's start. And we're getting the card that shows us we're going to Asia, somewhere in Asia. There, you can see that. And what comes up for me are these two places, and I don't know, I'm not very good with geography, but I'm looking at somewhere around Thailand, and then the word Laos came up, and I've heard the word Laos, I just don't know where it is. So keep those in mind. And how you make connections is whether it could be you're interested in Thailand or those areas that I mentioned. You like the culture, you like the decoration of it, how they decorate, or the language, or things like that. So you can make connections there, okay? So let's move along to what you did with the majority of your time, okay? So what they're showing me here, this card is the laborer card, and that can mean hard labor. It could also mean a lifetime of just like almost slavery in a sense, but here what I'm picking up on is actually like something like blacksmithing, so like working with metal in a shop, like you had an apprenticeship. And they're showing me here this is a male's life. You're male in this life, and you're a really big guy, okay? So how that relates sometimes when they show like a certain gender or a certain body type is if you've had this body type, so we're looking at like this really muscular tall guy. In your current life, you could be someone that is really petite and really small framed, or it can carry over where you still are large boned or whatever that is. And those are the kind of connections you can make as well. Because, so for example, if you're a big guy here and in this current life you're petite, it's because you've already experienced this kind of body type and you want to experience something else, right? Okay, so let's go to an important day. And here, let me just show you what the images I'm getting is you're using a hammer to hit metal in a shop that is mostly closed but open. And it feels like it's a long time ago. It feels okay, and so the little hits I'm getting, you're wearing an apron. I don't know if that's something that they do. So you're wearing an apron, you're in a shop it's like three walls basically with an open wall for people who come by and need to drop things off. And I feel like we're going back in time like I feel like this is a very long time ago. I want to say like 12th century or 11th century or somewhere Middle Ages kind of thing, okay? Where weaponry, there would be metal weaponry and just a lot of metal being used for some reason. So that's the impression I'm getting. So keep that in mind as well. That could also mean that you have a connection to, if you're interested in certain times of history. It's not just the region. It can be maybe you're interested in reading about Middle Ages or medieval times or things like that. So keep that in mind as well. So the first important day here, this is the so long until we meet again card. So this usually indicates, sorry, I'm trying to get light on the card so you could see it there. So this indicates that someone is leaving. It could be you, it could be someone you know. So I'm just letting the impressions come up as we look at all of this right here. This is the karmic relation card, and that usually indicates that you have karma in this current life, possibly with a person you're dealing with here. And the feelings overall are content. And the feelings I'm getting is that on this day, I feel like there's someone in authority here. I don't know if they have a king or a leader of some sort. And I feel like that person in authority is being overturned or kicked out or taken over, or there's something happening where the leadership in this area, in this country, where you are, it's being uprooted. That's the feeling I get. And what you're seeing go away is not only the leader or the current authority, but there's also like a leaving of a certain kind of government, something like where you're seeing more freedoms here, or you're seeing less burdens overall in this region because of a changeover of authority, if that makes sense. So feel free to Google this in this area, who was ruling in this area during that time, and if there's any takeovers or anything. Excuse me. All right. And so the feeling is even though it would be kind of, I guess, people that live in a certain area maybe don't want to see someone else come in and take over, but in this case, you're relieved. There's a sense of relief and kind of excitement because you want change. And I'm trying to see who the karmic relationship is, what's happening here. So, you're really happy about it. So they're showing me like you with a small group of men kind of celebrating, like you're drinking, or there's something you're celebrating with in a small room on this night, and it's like people are celebrating on this night. So that's another reason why this is an important day too. It's not just like the whole changeover, but there's also celebrating going on. And I feel like you have a very close friend in this life here, where it's almost like, actually, I think it's your teacher. So I feel like you had an apprenticeship with a blacksmith for many, many years. And I feel like now you're on your own doing this kind of work, but your teacher's not dead. He's not passed over. He still does the work too. And I feel like we're looking at you and your teacher, the person who taught you what you do. And I almost feel like it could be family. It could be like someone like an uncle or like, a certain family member. But I feel like there's a real closeness between you guys, and how that can connect in your current life is, one, you could have a friend that is just like, not, it doesn't even have to be blood relative, but they could be closer to you than a sister or a brother or a sibling, like someone that you just feel like you can trust. And this can also mean that in your current life, if you don't have someone like that, that you yearn for a friend like that. And if you don't have that friend in this current life, it's almost like a feeling like this person, if they're not here as a human being with you, being a friend, then they're your guide. Like they're watching over you. Like, because I feel like this person and you do travel a lot. Also, if this person is in your current life, think of someone that you might see as a teacher. Someone that you might feel has like that, something you've learned, someone you can always learn something from, someone you admire or look up to. On the flip side, you could be the teacher this time around, and they can be more of a student. So if you're someone who has mentored people or helped people in a certain way, and you've become close with one of those people, heck, you might be a teacher, I don't know. But if that's the case, so it could be the flip side of the relationship, where you're the teacher, they're the student, whereas vice versa it was in this life. So keep that in mind if there's someone out there that comes to mind when you hear this. Now the next important day here, this is the move, let's go card, which is interesting because, here we have someone, like we have a so long farewell moving card too. So this is the other one, and that's interesting, they both come up. So along with that, we see a soul group card. The soul group card can indicate, honestly, like I feel like it's the same person here, but it can indicate family members, best friends, whatever that is. And okay, and so this the emotion card with it is distant, feelings of being distant, which is interesting because you have to move. So it's not always you moving though. So I'm trying to see what's going on here, because I feel like you're really content here. So I feel like I feel like there's a separation occurring here, because I feel like it's almost like, I want to say someone close to you is moving, or someone close to you is leaving. I almost feel like this guy at this point is your teacher here is so old that I feel like he is being taken away to be cared for as an older person by family members. Okay, so let's say that this could be like, for example, if you're on the southern region of this country at this time, he would be taken maybe to the northern region, where it's today it wouldn't be too far of traveling, but for back then it would be like, I wouldn't say like at least at least a week of traveling to get to where he is. So I feel like he's being taken away from you in a sense, but he's also not your responsibility to take care of as he gets older. So there are mixed feelings, and the distant feelings come in because it's a kind of numbing that you have to do at this point when you say goodbye to him, because you don't know when you'll see him again or if you'll ever see him again, you know? So keep that in mind as well. And let's see if we can get this a little closer. Is that, maybe not. I just want you to see all the cards. Okay, that's okay. All right, so then, I guess that light's a little bright. All right, so then how this might connect to you, keep in mind, if you're someone who takes a long time to make friends with, but like really deep trusting friends, it could be because you've had a loss occur here, or two, it can mean that you are fearful of losing people you love, which means you might be someone who's overprotective of people you love, or it can go either way. You can either be very standoffish because you don't want to invest emotions for some reason, or two, you can be very loving and over affectionate with people too. So that's why it might go both ways, because of the loss here. That's how it can come out in a reaction in your current life. So keep that in mind if that's the case. You also might be someone who either one likes the idea of having a home base and staying somewhere where you know the place and you're familiar and you want to be there forever, or two, you might be someone, because you were so settled in this region, you might be someone who likes to travel and get out a little bit because of how settled you were here, to the point where people were leaving and you wouldn't see them again. But you wouldn't move either because this is your home. So that's how it can connect with you as well, okay? And let's move over to the death and see what's going on here. All right. So this is the accident card. The accident card. That's interesting. Some people get the accident card actually when they kill themselves, which is funny because sometimes that comes up as the murder card too. But for this, I'm seeing what's happening here. Accident card. I want to say it has to do with something at your work, at your job, like your job kills you, and how it happens is I honestly feel like there's something in your lungs from all of the work you're doing, because there's a lot of fires and ash and smoke where you work, and I feel like it's an accident in that you don't mean to be doing this to your body every day, but what you inhale every day in this job, I want to say it affects your lungs, and there's a kind of lung cancer happening here where it defeats you in that way. Like eventually you can't breathe. And I feel like this is like a common thing of what happened back then, and they don't know why. Like blacksmiths, like I want to say in this, at least in this area, at least what I'm getting is that you die relatively young for how long these people live. I feel like you die relatively young, but I don't know what that means for back then. But I don't see in my mind, what I'm seeing is this person is not reaching, he's not going past like 40, that kind of thing, like 40, 42, like that. He's not getting past that age at all. And at least that's what he looks like. And so in your current life, how this can connect with you is, one, if you have breathing issues, if you have problems breathing, if you have asthma, if you have allergies, asthma, if you have problems with your insides, your lungs, if you got bronchitis or pneumonia, or like things that affected your lungs and breathing, if you've had sicknesses like that or you're prone to that, keep in mind it can stem from this. You could also this also can mean that this whole life can mean that you're very comfortable being around people that smoke, or you can absolutely hate it. So it can go either way with that. So keep that in mind as well. Now the lesson learned here, this is the Enlightenment card. This is a really interesting card. I want to say that you hit most of it because the feeling of this person was a very open person, very accepting person, hardworking, Like you really fully lived your life. The thing with this, the one little thing that I feel is holding you back from completely learning this lesson, was how you felt when he left. Instead of kind of opening that kind of unconditional love, instead you kind of closed yourself off because you knew you wouldn't see him again. And it's like you didn't want to experience that emotion. So I feel like in this current life, if you're someone that holds back your current emotion, if you're someone that holds back your emotions and you don't like to show your emotions very well, that could stem from this life. And so in your current life, what that might mean is it might be a little bit of a push for you to be possibly more open, more like something about letting go, like learning to let go of things. And even in a certain way where if something is making you really sad, or something you feel like is going to like really make you feel badly or very emotional, it's almost like a message to ride it out, like to try to ride that wave of emotion and kind of live with it and feel it out and sink into it, but don't let it change you, but just let yourself feel. If that speaks to you at all. You could be someone who's very, very emotional, but just from what I'm getting here from this past life, what's coming through is the lesson was to be enlightened in the way of allowing yourself to feel, allowing your soul to expand with those emotions. And so in your current life, that's how it would carry over, is to allow yourself to expand by experiencing things that it might not be easy for you to experience, right? Okay. So there's your past life. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for letting me read you.